Well then, greetings. My name is, for those that don't know, my name is Rogowski, and I'm one of the co-CEOs of the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce based here in Gdansk. A very warm welcome to this event, the Market Entry Scandinavia event. It's truly great to see you, well, those in the room here, but also those that are online. Today's event is co-hosted with the Dutch Chamber of Commerce in Sweden and the Macedonian Swedish Chamber of Commerce. We're very proud to have you as co-hosts. I would also like to give a shout out to our event partner, which is BGK, the Polish National Development Bank. Now, it goes without saying that Scandinavia is one of the most attractive business regions in the world. There is the high trust, there is the strong purchasing power, there is also the transparency of the institutions, actually so much more. But attractive does not necessarily mean that it's easily accessible. Some would even argue that it's quite the contrary. The Nordic markets reward those who come prepared. Trust is built here over time. Decisions also take time. But if you have the persistence, if you have the patience, if you build the relationships, then, well, you're going to be in a good place. So today you'll hear from people who actually help this market entry happen, and from people that have actually managed to enter the market, the success stories. And I would also like to encourage you that during the breaks, make sure to network. And without any further ado, let's proceed. Thank you.
My name is Jacek Ziłkowski, and I'm also a co-CEO of the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, like Adam. And I will have the pleasure of passing on the microphone today to all our speakers and panelists, and maybe ask a question or two during the event. All right, so without further ado, let's start. And I would like to invite the first speaker today. It's going to be Kim Juhlin, founder of Juhlin AB. And Kim is going to talk about how to make an impact in Swedish business culture.
Thank you. Let's see, I have one slide, and one slide only. There it is. And if you want, you can take up your cell phone and scan the QR code and add me on LinkedIn. I would appreciate. So, how to make impact? I think that's a very Western view of doing things. Self-confidence, impact, have to make it. But I want to talk about something different that's more human. Because what I've noticed in my years as therapist and recent years when I went into the business life in Sweden is, first off, you need to build relationships with people. So how do you do that? Yeah, first off, you have to try to be yourself, not someone else. Not your brand, not your CEO title, not your CV. Talk about things that are personal to you. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, I talk a lot about those things. So we can do a little exercise, just 30 seconds, because I just only have 9 minutes left on this talk. Go to your neighbor that you don't know and present yourself, but not about where you come from, which company, which title, and stuff like that. Try to present yourself with who you are. Okay, can we do that? Just 30 seconds. Go 2 and 2. Okay. A lot of things to talk about. We can come back. So, How was that? Difficult? No, easy. Come natural, huh? You have to use your intuition when you cannot talk about what things you have remembered about yourself. So that's a cool thing, intuition. What's intuition? I'm trying to figure out. Okay. Summary of my experience. No, intuition for me is not from memory. It's from spontaneous activities, like this talk, for example. I don't know what to say. I'm just saying things. Hopefully it lands in. But it's not gut feeling. It can be gut feeling. Some people talk about gut feeling, intuition. But if I have listened to my gut feeling for today's talk, I would not show up. So, no, but intuition, it needs quiet. Some quiet time. You people don't have quiet time anymore. So spend time on your own and listen inward. And then you have a more whispering voice. So, how does this relate to my topic, how to make impact? Yeah, but you can make great impact with your intuition. Because you can make good relationships on it. It builds trust. When people feel that you are real. People don't make business with the best products. They make business with people, other people that they like. So how to be likable? See, I'm quite dressed down compared to this audience here. I don't say that's a key for be likable. It can be reversed. But maybe we do one little bit, but shorter now. Pitch. We do the pitch exercise. So now you go to your same neighbor and present yourself about your brand, about your title, about your CV, and what you do in your working life. Okay? Just 30 seconds for that. 1, 2, 3. Now you've done some business. Okay, how was the difference about doing this compared to the first exercise? It's more automatic, yeah. You remember the words and how you are used to express yourself, and yeah. But you felt it was like the same. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, it could be a good thing if it's the same, you know, if you're very integrated with your business in how you are. I think that's the best thing, to integrate things. But it needs a lot of trust to do this, right? To not hide behind your self-confidence or what you have done or your CV or your money or whatever. You really have to trust what you have to say is meaningful or trustworthy or respectful. So to trust your intuition needs a lot of courage. Because you have to be a little bit vulnerable. And not everyone will appreciate your vulnerability. But I can promise you, in the Swedish culture, I really think it's a good idea to drop the costume of yourself and just be yourself. And if you do this, you can also be a little bit more aware of how people look, how their frequencies are. You can respond better. You can talk about mindfulness or being conscious, aware. And of course, that's a thing we can train. I train CEOs with that. So the first step is go from head to body and then emotion, but then you can go deeper into intuition. Okay, I could talk and talk about this topic, but I just have only 10 minutes for today's talk, so I appreciated you listened and that you participated in the exercises. Hope you have a good day. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kim. Well, I wonder if that's what you expected to be the first presentation or not. But that's very interesting. So yeah, we tend to define ourselves by the titles, roles, names, whatever. But yeah, once one of my managers told me that business is done not by the brands, but by the people that collaborate, right? So this has been confirmed today by Kim as well. Our next presenter is going to be Victoria Rentzhog. Yes, here's Victoria from a company called Accello, and the title of the presentation is Unlocking the Scandinavian B2B Market.
Thank you. So thank you. So I surprisingly have almost exactly the same topic, but with my suit on. So when Jerry called me and asked if I wanted to speak here today, I said yes, of course. And then he added, but try to come up with something new. So that's where I got a little bit confused, because we usually talk about how we help companies to enter new markets, and this is a market entry event. I was thinking, what exactly is something new in this context? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized something. Maybe the most valuable thing I can share with you today is not what works, but what looks like it's working, but is not. At Accello, we work with international B2B companies entering the Nordic countries, including Sweden. And we help them understand the market, shape their go-to-market approach, and build commercial traction locally. So over time, you start to see what actually works here and what only looks like it's working. So companies with strong products, strong teams, proven success in other markets, doing almost everything right, and still missing the market. So today, I want to share a few of those patterns with you, not to tell you how to succeed, but to help you avoid scaling something that was never really working in the first place. Because market entry is not only about growth, it's about risk. Okay. So now I'm very curious. How many of you are currently working on or planning expansion into a new market? That's a lot. So this is exactly where the risk starts. Because something subtle happens when companies enter a new market. Decisions start being based less on what this market is telling them and more about the last one. Let me explain more precisely where I think things go wrong. Because from the outside, it often doesn't look like a problem at all. You're a successful company, you've built something that works, you understand your customers, you know how to sell. And over time, whether you realize it or not, you've also built something else, a way of thinking. A logic for how you sell, position, and define value. And that logic is not random, it's shaped on your existing market, and because it has worked, you trust it. So when you enter a new market, you don't just bring your product, you bring that logic with you. And that's where the problem starts, because a new market doesn't just have different customers, it has different expectations, different decision-making processes, different definitions of value, different levels of maturity. In a market like the Nordics, for an example, buyers are often more consensus-driven, more analytical, less driven by urgency, and more by risk reduction. Which means that the same message, the same sales approach, the same way of framing value can suddenly stop working in a new market. Not because your product is wrong, but because your logic is. And here's what makes it very dangerous. It doesn't break immediately. You can still get meetings, you can still explain your offer, you can still generate interest. So it feels like you're on the right track. But the underlying logic doesn't fit the magic, so you don't win the deals. And in many cases, the market has already decided that you're not quite relevant. So let me give you a few examples. We worked with a company entering the Nordic market with a very experienced sales team. They had strong results in their home market. They knew how to build relationships. They knew how to move deals forward. So naturally, they used the same approach here. And on the surface, it seemed to work. They got meetings, they had good conversations, but they weren't closing. And when we looked closer, the issue wasn't the product, it was the logic behind how they were selling. And when they came from a sales culture where decisions were faster, more relationship-driven, and more responsive to a strong commercial push. But in Sweden, the buying process often looked very different. More stakeholders were involved. More consensus had to be built. More proof was needed. So the buyer was interested but not ready. The conversation was good, but it wasn't aligned with how decisions were actually made. Same product, same people, wrong logic. So we stepped in early in the sales process with our local team, handled the dialogue in a way that matched the market, and then brought our client into the process in the right stage. And that changed the outcome completely, because once the sales approach matched the buying culture, the market responded in a very different way. Another example was a SaaS company. They had a strong product, proven in several markets, but when they entered Sweden, they started losing deals they expected to win. Again, everything looked fine on the surface. The product worked, the pitch made sense, but the market was different. More mature, more competitive, higher expectations. What had been strong elsewhere was only average here. So we adjusted the positioning, refined the offer, and made the offer specific to a certain local problem. And that shift from generic to value with precise relevance changed how the market responded. One of the clearest examples we see in how companies describe their value. We work with a global company with a strong track record, but in the Nordics, they were only getting polite interest. Nothing more. The reason was simple: the value proposition was too broad. It sounded good, it made sense, but it didn't feel relevant. So we narrowed it down, focused on specific problems, specific use cases, and specific buyers. And suddenly, the same company got a completely different response. So, across these examples, the product didn't fundamentally change. The companies didn't become better. The logic did. And that's the difference between entering a market and fitting into one. So, what do you actually need to understand early to become market ready? Because many companies think they are entering a new geography, but in reality, they are entering a different system, a different competitive system, a different pricing system, a different way of evaluating risk and value. And unless you understand that system, you will misread the market. So there are a few things that matter more than anything else early on. First, competition. Not just who your competitors are, but how they are positioned. What the market already sees as good enough, and what the buyers compare you against. Pricing logic, not what customers can pay, but how they decide what something is worth. How they evaluate cost, risk, and return. How decisions are actually made. Who is involved? How consensus is built? What needs to be proven before decisions happen? Trust. What can create credibility in this market? Brand, local presence, reference, technical depth. Because without trust, nothing moves. And finally, relevance. Not whether your offer is good, but whether it feels specific enough to matter. Because one of the most common problems we see is not weak offers, it's broad ones. And broad does not convert in a new market. And this is exactly how we spend our time at Accello. We help companies understand the Swedish market before they enter, before they start, and while they are entering it. That means we do not rely on assumptions alone. We combine market analysis, local commercial experience, and direct market interaction. We build and refine value propositions. So we stay continuously updated on market development through close contact with business communities, decision makers, industry networks, chambers of commerce, banks, and market briefings. But just as importantly, we learn in real time. Representing our clients through direct contact with potential customers, we ask the questions that reveal how the market actually thinks. What buyers prioritize, what creates trust, what they seek as risk, what they compare you to, what makes them move or hesitate. That allows us to iterate quickly since we combine strategy and execution at the same time. Not in theory, but in the actual market. So instead of applying a fixed sales model, we shape a market-adapted approach through fast learning loops, real customer dialogue, and continuous refinement. And because we combine that with long experience from both the market and the industries we work in, we can help our clients iterate to a sharper, more relevant entry much faster. And this does in practice gives a better commercial decisions earlier. A shorter path from entering the market to actually winning it. And the faster you can get to that point, the stronger your entry becomes. So if you're looking at Sweden or the Nordics as your next market, the real question is not, can we enter? It's how can we be relevant here, for real? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. If you would like to learn more about what Accello does, and there is a YouTube channel of the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce where we have a video podcast with Victoria. So we can enter the channel and watch more. And now, the next speaker, I think I will stand here for that, because it's going to be Naturell AB and Daria Pak, the CEO of Naturell AB, who is going to talk about how inclusion and diversity can help you grow in Sweden.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Let me introduce myself. I am Daria Pak. I am mother of a 5-year-old boy and a wife of a beloved husband. And also I am CEO of Naturell AB. I had privilege to work in Spain, in Turkey, in Istanbul for 4 years, in Poland, of course, and in 2023, I came to Sweden with my family. I have a question. Is there anyone who takes natural vitamins, dietary supplements? Okay, we have a few persons. Could you let me know what is your favorite product? Do you have any? No, not favorite. Okay. Okay, my favorite is magnesium. We have also D vitamin, many others. But Naturell is fourth biggest brand in Poland and produced in Sweden. Since 1934, we are producing dietary supplements in Sweden. And we offer also production for other global brands in the form of soft gels, capsules, tablets. We can pack them in blisters and in sticks and jars. Very often, for Swedish customer, it is important if product is made in Sweden. And we offer authentic, made in Sweden production. So if you would like to enter to Swedish market with dietary supplements or to Scandinavian market, you can contact with us. And how Naturell became diverse and international company. So when I came in 2023 to Sweden, I had to understand the local environment, the Swedish culture, value, mindset. And then when I was transforming the team, the company, I was building the diversity, reflecting to Swedish values. And then by having diverse team, I had to ensure the inclusion. And I will tell you how I did it. So after 2 months in Sweden, in one of the meetings, I said proudly, "Tack så mycket." I was so happy that I said in Swedish my first Swedish word. And one of my colleagues said to me, "Tack så mycket is not enough to speak Swedish." Yeah. It was so demotivating for me. I was thinking about this after the meeting. But then I took it as a lesson. After a while, and understand this and translate it, you don't know us enough to gain our trust. It was said before. Because it is not how you talk or what you offer. It is how you act, how you build social trust, how you build long relationships, how you approach to consensus or lagom. Because language opens the door. But only trust and reliability allows you to stay here. So I have a question. Could you please raise your hand if you would like to describe what, according to you, diversity is? Is there anyone who would like to say? Okay, so I will say maybe. Imagine a table. I will say it in very easy way. Imagine a table and there are sitting a group of people. They are not the same. They can come from different countries. They can be different genders. They can be different generations. And is there anyone who would like to describe what inclusion is? Okay, so inclusion means that the people on this table are sitting and they can decide what to order, okay, if they are in the restaurant. So Naturell, within 2 years, became a team of 30 people from 17 different countries. Most of us are from Sweden, of course, from Finland, from Sri Lanka, Poland, Turkey, Iran, Greece, Brazil, Indonesia, South Africa, and many others. Our team speaks 20 native different languages. We are 4 different generations. And 60% of our management board are women. And here I would like to tell you that Sweden is a hub of talents from all over the world. Because people are coming here for a better life, from all over the world. And we have 6 persons with PhD. we have 12 persons with bachelors, and we have 9 engineers. And now, could you please raise your hand if you work in diverse company? Okay. 5, 6, 7 person. And could you please raise your hand if you work in inclusive company? Okay. And diverse and inclusive? Okay. But still in minority. Okay, and is there anyone who would like to tell if you find this as advantage or disadvantage? Could you raise your hand? Okay.
I find it very advantageous. I work for a company where we have our mother company in London, and then we have El Salvador, and in Kenya, and in Canada, and in Lithuania. And the board consists of people from Armenia, India, Kenya, Sweden, and one more country. Yeah, so I mean, we open up doors. There are women there, there are men there, there are different ages. So of course we have the connections in a total different way than we would if we were just all the same age from Sweden, men in suits.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting perspective. So to ensure inclusion, I had to allow my team to speak and make decisions. This is why 60% of our managers who can make decisions are women in different age, from different countries, and everybody has influence on the decisions, what happens in our company. So we became a team consisting of world-class engineers, world-class scientists, and this allows us to build innovative products. We can be innovative production, innovative technologies. Because I believe, like in vitamins, we mixed different ingredients to create best formula. And I believe it's the same with the team. I believe if you mix different people from different countries, from different genders, this is where the best team can be created. And I will tell you one inspiring story. It's with permission with our team members. He is from Sri Lanka. He is working in production like 1 year with us on the capsule machine. The capsule is, you can see here on the picture, it's a very difficult machine. It takes 6 months to learn this machine. And only experienced service technician can repair this machine. After 1 month, when he started working with us, his managers came to me and said to me, Daria, we have rising star in production. I said, why? What happened? You know, the new process operator in the capsule machine? He learned this machine in 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, he was able to use this machine. I said, wow, so incredible. And we didn't finish it. He is also able to repair this machine. Wow, he is able to repair the machine. After 1 month being with us, 2 weeks, he learned machine, another 2 weeks, he started improving the machine. And I will tell you, he didn't only was repairing the machine, he makes some tunings that increase the machine efficiency. So I went to him and I asked him, hey, how is it working in Naturell? How is it here? And I can tell you that the machine is difficult to operate, so I get used to hear complaints, and he said, I am so happy that I can work with this machine, Daria. Really, I love repairing the things. It is so lovely that I can improve that machine and improve the process. I was stunned. I said, thank you very much. I come back. At the end of the year, I make questionnaire to my team, and I ask them, what you are grateful for 2025? And what is your expectations from managers for 2026? And there were many nice answers, like they are grateful for the transformation, for the changes. And his answer was again standing. He wrote there, I am grateful that I could learn the machine and that I can improve the process and that I can improve the efficiency on the machine. I said, wow. And then his expectations are, I expect from my manager that I can learn another machines on the production, that I can improve them and I can improve the process. Yes. I said, wow. It was such different mindset, such different way of thinking. And I can tell you that in my company now, we have many other inspiring stories, but I don't have enough time to talk about this. And in this world, we have two types of people creation. One of them are whispers. They have ideas, they are creative, but the idea never came true. And there are also doers. They have idea, and they make it true. And he was a very great example of doers. And thanks to doers, this world is more beautiful. When I took over in 2024 the team, it was not easy. It was a company that exists almost 90 years. Procedures were almost the same for the 10 years. So any change was challenging. Team was with the similar background, experience. So I was thinking, we need fresh blood in this team. Somebody with different way of thinking, so we can inject it. So I started the recruitment. And now we are a team of people, 30 people from 17 different countries. We speak 20 languages and we are 4 generations. And within 1 year, after the change, our KPI, like delivery on time, increased from 90% to 99%. Our efficiency increased year to year by 30%. And creativity and new ideas increased by 100%. And I have many more, but I don't have much time today to speak about that. But then I searched how other companies are dealing with diversity and inclusion. And I searched. There are global companies, which you can see them. You can read about them more detailedly. All of them has included in their strategy diversity and inclusion. And all of them, same, they are stating that their KPIs increase. Their financial KPIs increase. Their sales increase. Their margin increase. Their efficiency increase. Creativity and innovation increased. All of them have some data, numbers. They have proof of statistics. So I recommend you to read more about this. But still, as you could see here also, many companies are trying to be diverse, but only few companies really are. Why? You wonder why. Because for leader, for manager, it is going out of his or her comfort zone. You have to deal with the prejudice. You have to face everyday conflicts, because in the team, which is multicultural, it is dealing with everyday conflicts, and there are cultural misunderstandings. For person from some parts or from India, no, can be offensive. Person from Middle East can be more emotional. Person from Sweden can be less emotional. Person from Poland can be very straightforward. And many others. I imagine 17 different countries with their own point of view, with their own mindset. So discussions are very diverse and dynamic, but this is where the magic happens and innovation comes true. So the question is to the leaders, are you able to go out from your comfort zone? Because diversity is an opportunity and still most ignored. Inclusion is a strategy, most avoided. And only brave leaders embrace both. So now this is the questions to the leader. What kind of organization would you like to build? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daria. And again, if you would like to learn more about Daria and Naturell, there is a video podcast we recorded sometime together on our YouTube channel, the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce channel. We are halfway with the presentations, and the next one is going to be Marcin Romanowski, who is going to talk about cracking the Nordic code, how to succeed in the Scandinavian IT market. And you have 12 minutes.
I will do my best. Yes. Hello, Martin Romanowski, or Dzień dobry, then I'm Marcin Romanowski, and hello. Tack så mycket för att välkomna mig hit. Kort om jag har 12 minuter, försöka förklara, kommer ge lite exempel på real life exempel. I will in 12 minutes tell you about the IT market and also a real life example. Just short about me, 20 years international business, Asia, Europe, Middle East, India, and all the way to Australia. Different companies I have worked for as a consultant or employed. And what I'm doing now is helping companies, both in Pamica, who is an investment company, around 1 billion Swedish kronos, help those companies to grow, and also buying new companies and selling. So this is what I do. There has been some mention here before, so I have just put in 4 different categories. I will start up here to left side. I think the data is very important first. When you want to go into your new region, whatever region it is, but we talk on Scandinavia here this time, you need data, you need, of course, there's people who can help you with that before you even think to come to a new region. What is your offering is very important. What is the competition here? More you know and get the data, it will be easier for you how to approach the market. This is very crucial because otherwise you will, I will say, and this is experience-wise, you will go in 1 year, 2 years, and then you go out because you didn't know this before. And you waste time and money for yourself before you do that. Of course, local help through Polish-Swedish Chamber is one way to go. There are a lot of people here and contacts who can help you, or other contacts. And also the last is some CEOs and owners of company define what is your company, what are you, what is your message to the market? Are you a manufacturer, or you are a service provider, or what you are? You need to be clear what are you doing. Of course, if you manufacture food supplements, it's easy to understand, but there's other companies who's not so clear, and this is very important also. Then, when you know all the data and you have all this information and you have local help and so on, and you start looking at, of course, what product you are offering, or physical, or software, or SaaS solution, or other services. You need to look at the business model. And this is very crucial here, and I would say depends of what you are offering. It's the 2 way to go, is it the direct or indirect to the customer. This is not typical Scandinavian, this is the same in other regions in the world also, but this is very important you decide. I don't think you can do both things in the same time, because this will be not popular for the market, but I think it's for the customers, but you need to decide which way is the best for you and your. And of course, if you're selling a branded product or OEM that you produce for someone else, is it hardware? Then you need to know the legal or the environmental stuff. Scandinavia, I will not say is better than other regions, but we are very important with the environmental, especially if you sell hardware products with electronics. And also support. In Scandinavia, we're very used to a little bit, almost, I would say, I forgot the word now, but we are very used to that. We get help immediately in 5 seconds. And if you're not in 5 seconds get help, then you get annoyed immediately here. Bortskämda in Swedish, spoiled. This is very crucial. If you sell any hardware or software solution, if it's IT or other products, I will show it. This is very crucial that you can get help fast. Either you have a local provider of that, or you do it other way, remotely. Also, logistically and financially, people we talk Scandinavia here. I don't know if you don't easy always see in the map if you look at the map, but if you just look at Sweden, if you put Sweden on the same level of Gdansk in the North Kiruna, it's all the way to almost to Hungary. So it's very far everywhere here. People don't think about it. It's like logistic-wise, if you sell some physical stuff, and it's very not sometimes so easy. And also financially, what I mean by that is not for the company, but people forget that we have 4 countries here, we have different currencies, we have all of these different rules and how you sell and so on. You need to know this before you even think to go into this region. It's not like just going in Germany, it's easy, this is the way. And also legal, all of these rules, how you do governmental tenders or other legal stuff, environmental, what you're going to do. You need to have all this information also before you. Otherwise, I know companies have been sued for a lot of money because they have done wrong. Also here, to the right side, I would say we are, not the biggest market, but together we are around 30 million together with Iceland, and compare that to Poland, for example, we're still less people than Poland, but it's harder because, like I said, different languages, different currency, huge area, transportation. But what positive is that we have very early adapters here, almost too early, I would say. A lot, if you Swedish news, older people don't even know how to pay their bills because everything is electronic and it's too complicated. So we are almost too early with the latest IT things. So the positive is that, and also the IT market, or generally in the Nordic market, is very stable. I would say it's not that up and down that some other regions in the world. It's stable and it's going more like this. It's not like 1 year is going down, next year is nothing. So it's very stable market, and I will not go in politics and so on, but in general this region is very stable in everything. We had some before presenters here talking about culture. I'm Polish and Swedish. I'm born in Poland but lived in Sweden all my life, and also worked in other regions in the world. I will say Nordic people sometimes is very, I would say, introvert of this that way. I don't know is the right word. It's not easy to get in here. Doesn't matter where you come from. It's not Poland. Doesn't matter. I will say it's if you get help locally from the start, it's will be much easier. The language is one thing, but generally the trust. But so that from you mentioned it. Yes, the trusting is that if you just come here, arrive and say hello, please, do you interest my product? I will say to you 9 or 10 times it will not work. It's other things, and the first question is with the external, and outside Scandinavia companies. Okay, how long are you going to be here? Are you going to just try 1-2 years and then leave? I don't have time for it. I don't need. If you don't have any product who is not existing in Scandinavia, maybe it will work. But otherwise, if always competition there, they will not try. You need to convince them this is a long-term plan to stay in the Nordics. This is number one. Otherwise, they don't have time, especially in IT or manufacturing and general products. And in the end, I will always recommend to have local representative. That should be a goal, not in the first year maybe, but second or third year, or whatever is planned. That is what you need to communicate from day one. This is the goal, that you're going to stay here in the Nordics. I will say, especially if I just put on the countries, I will say all of them are introvert, but Denmark is less and Finland is the most. So Finland, I will say, is the most hardest. It's not negative, nothing about. I just said the difference. But all Nordics are. So when I'm like a more Polish, you said, more extrovert, then it works much better in Denmark. But in Finland, I need to be more Swedish. I would say more gentle. So yes, this presentation will be for you later also. So I will show you a real life last assignment I have. I don't know, from Turkey. I work for Turkish companies for 4 years. So not only for the Nordics, but for EMEA region. 2021, do people know here what Vestel is? Not you. Raise hands who knows Vestel as a company brand or nothing. You know what Samsung is? If Korea has Samsung, South Korea, Vestel is Samsung for Turkey. 20,000 employees. I promise you, you have something at home who is made at Vestel, but it says something else on the box. So I will show you. So I'm not here to talk about Vestel, but they called me. I went to Istanbul to meet the CEO there, and they said, Martin, we want to go into B2B business, a big company, and but we are producing consumer products, but we want to go and can you help us? So step one, business plan, facts, data for all EMEA, but this also for Nordic, Scandinavia, of course, and do a business plan. And also, how fast does it go? You know, they always, and I said, they always take longer than you think. So whatever number years you say is going to get longer. Anyway, so started with the products were 3 categories. It was professional displays you see everywhere today in the meeting rooms or stores and everything, not TV, but professional displays. It was chargers for charging cars, both small ones for home, but also for superchargers for Tesla, other those fast chargers, and also they come with the consumer products, white goods mainly, refrigerators, all whatever you want to have to a kitchen. So we started here. We signed distributors. We looked at the business plan, and that was an indirect model. For that worked for the IT products. Hired local people, Swedish people, day one. Start meeting integrators. Of course, this guy was working for other competitors, so he already has the contacts. And we start selling indirect displays in the market. 2023, we won tender. So all airports in Sweden are with Vestel. All display you see in all airports in Sweden is Vestel. Small, big one, doesn't matter. And 2 years before, nobody knew in Nordics what Vestel was. Zero business, nothing. Then chargers, different business model. It was not so easy to sell direct to small, and the business model for the selling of chargers was not mature. So we go for a direct model. We go OEM. So one of the electric company, E.ON, use chargers from Vestel, but it says E.ON. This is OEM business. So in the factory, we produce from them superchargers and normal home chargers, and there's some others. Then, of course, they come to me after, business B2B is growing, that's good, Martin, but can we not just go in with the consumer, because that was the big area for them. And I said, okay, we can start with trying to go to Swedish Elgiganten and Power, whatever it says. This is consumer business. Of course, they have already so many brands, as Electrolux and whatever. So it was hard. But I convinced the Cylinder people know here. I think if you're a little bit older, Swedish Cylinder who made white goods in Sweden. So I signed contract with them, so produce for Cylinder. So Vestel is producing all Cylinder white goods you see. For the last 2-3 years, people think it's still Swedish, but it's produced in Turkey and everything is done there. It is like Volvo, it's not Swedish anymore. In the end, Vestel bought Cylinder. That was the end goal. Establish Vestel in Nordic, Scandinavia. They bought, and now they are in Kista in north of Stockholm, 50 employees, and they have all these categories from this office for the Nordic market. And today, 25, I left August 25, is around 1 billion Swedish or 100 million euros in turnover, only for the Nordics business from zero. And it took 4 years. So this is just a real life example. And we are following this. Doesn't matter if you're a small company or a big company, the decision making is the same. Thank you. This is my contacts. I have 12 minutes. I don't know how much, but thank you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. Impressive, impressive. We, the Chamber, always recommend newcomers to contact our member firms that are consulting firms, and they can actually help you enter the Nordic markets. Our next presenter is going to be Yvonne Magnusson. And Yvonne is going to talk about from entry to expansion, navigating the Nordic retail and e-commerce ecosystem.
Thank you. So hi everyone, nice to be here. Very nice to hear everyone talk about their experiences. And I would like to start with an observation. The Nordics are often perceived as a small and relatively straightforward region. You have reached some nuances here today, and I will give you some more because, like you probably picked up already, it's quite opposite. It's a market with high expectations, strong purchasing power, and a very specific way of doing business. So what I would like to share with you today is how to approach the market in a structured and value-driven way from entry to scalable growth. So my name is Yvonne Magnusson. Nording is the official name. If you look on LinkedIn, I'm Yvonne Magnusson still. I have over 30 years of working experience within retail and FMCG. Started my career with Unilever. I worked with companies like Wilhelm Boch, Servera, K-Rauta, Onninen, and Ilska. Over 18 years in the role as a CEO for both local and Swedish companies and international companies. I've led turnarounds, driven digital transformation, and built operational excellence programs across the region. Today, I work as a board professional, also a consultant, management consultant. I do senior advisory and interim CEO positions. And navigating the complexity and driving profitable growth through commercially sound decisions and operational excellence. I'm very proud also to, and therefore want to mention that I was chosen or recognized as a top 100 retail expert by Rethink Retail, which is a global recognition. And it's only 100 people globally that is chosen every year. I will take you through 3 key dimensions in my presentation. First, how the Nordic market actually works economically and structurally. Secondly, how consumers behave and what drives demand. And thirdly, how to approach market entry and scaling in a disciplined way. The intention from my side is to give you a framework rather than a fixed answer, because execution is very much linked to the starting point that you are in from your company perspective. So let's dig into some numbers. Some of them were already mentioned. The Nordic region, the definition of the Nordic region is Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland. And it represents 29 million consumers. That's, to put it in perspective, only 0.3% of the world's 8 billion people. So it's quite small, right? However, if you look at the combined Nordic GDP, is approximately $2 trillion US dollars. So that is 2% of the global GDP. If combined into one economy, it would rank between 10th and 15th in the world. So that is quite remarkable for 30 million people. And it also says something about the behavior of the Nordic region. All 4 countries consistently rank in the global top 5 to 10 for GDP per capita. These are among the, I would say the Nordic is among the wealthiest consumers on the planet. Population growth exceeds also the EU average. Urbanization here is very high. And that means it's very concentrated, accessible city markets. We are also very digital, so 95% plus are regularly online, ranking to the top 3 to 5 globally for digital maturity. So the strategic takeaway from this data is that we are, the Nordic is a very performance-driven market, i.e. not volume-driven. So you won't sell millions of units here in the Nordic region, but you will sell premium-priced products to consumers who value quality. For Polish companies, also, I would say the proximity is it's also a very natural expansion market. It's only on the other side of the ocean. And I forgot to mention that I also have some Polish roots. My father came from Poland, even if I was born and grew up there. But I'm very proud of that part. Moving forward to the market characteristics. So there are 3 factors I think it's very important to understand. And first, the very high digital adaptation. The second one is also strong and genuine focus on sustainability. And thirdly, a high level of omnichannel maturity. At the same time, consumers tend to prioritize value over price. And this means that competing purely on price is really a winning strategy here in the Nordics. The more sustainable also the approach is to compete on relevance, quality, and customer experience. Again, performance-driven. Also mentioned before, but I think this is very typical for the Nordic region. We are very good at implementing the EU legislation, coming fast. From an operational standpoint, the region is very well regulated and transparent. So this is generally an advantage, but it does require some discipline from your side. You need to fully align with GDPR and other type of data handling. Now we also have the AI Act to consider. Consumer protection frameworks are very important also to understand and follow. And when it comes to finances, also the tax and VAT structures. And there are also some nuances between the countries that is worth mentioning. For example, we also have to consider that Norway is not part of the EU. So while this could create complexible, I would say it's manageable, but it requires preparation from your side and some attention to details. There are several ways to enter the Nordic market. Some have been mentioned as examples, but we do have the export models, we have partnerships, we have the franchising, or establishing your own entity. And the right choice for you here depends on your ambition level, the risk tolerance, and your internal capabilities. So what I typically advise is to align the entry model also with your ability to execute rather than overcommitting too early. And from experience also, what I have noticed is that many companies, especially if you come from the manufacturing side, is that you want to start directly with the distribution and you want to overlap steps that you need to take before you actually are ready to enter the market. So looking in the market entry roadmap, in practice, I use a phased approach to be and see that as the most efficient. So the easiest way is to start testing and validating demand, then move into establishing a local presence through partnerships, localization, and infrastructure. Then we have had some good examples here previously also on the importance of the local understanding. And only once the model is proven, you can move into scaling. This reduces your risks and allows you to build on real market insights rather than assumptions. And we did hear about some good examples also on that. Moving into specifically retail success factors, execution in the Nordics comes down to getting a few key elements right. First is the omnichannel integration and understanding of driving the online and offline business together. It's also about reliable and flexible logistics. It is a big area, and also the consumers have different behaviors in the different countries as well, so you have to really understand that. Also, locally relevant payment solutions, they differ from country to country. And a clear localization of the customer experience is also very important. So these are not differentiators, they are expected from the consumers here also. And they need to work seamlessly together to be successful. I also have to mention the cultural factor. So culturally, the Nordics are characterized by a high level of trust, but also high expectation of transparency. Consumers expect honesty, consistency, and alignment between what you say and what you do. So localization is very important here. So even though English is widely spoken here, adapting language and communication signals commitments. And sustainability is not optional, it's part of the baseline expectation. And I would also like to mention here that Nordic consumers pay for value. So again, the performance-driven market perspective here. To summarize, the Nordics offer strong purchasing power and a highly digital environment. But also we require a disciplined approach to entry and execute. Localization, trust, and quality are central, and scaling requires more efforts than initial entry. So to conclude, the Nordic are attractive markets, but they reward structure, clarity, and long-term thinking. companies that approach here in the Nordic region with a clear strategy and disciplined execution, they are the companies that are also very successful here. And those are also the typical situations where I can support, both on a board level or an advisory capacity, or if as well as consultant. So thank you for listening. That was 10 minutes, right?
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thanks for a very structured and well-organized presentation. And we have already actually decided that we are going to also record a video podcast together. So stay tuned to learn more. Okay, and the last but not least presentation today. And it's going to be Sean Williams. And the topic is tailor-made business intelligence on the Scandinavian market, now at your fingertips.
Everyone got all of that? There's a fair bit going on in the world today. From Venezuela, through Greenland, through Iran war. Is it on? Is it off? Maybe there's Cuba next. And then these are just the sort of the things that Trump has invited the world to participate in. As you saw towards the end, the very important election going on in Hungary that we got the results of overnight. I mean, small country, but potentially profound impacts on what's going to happen in Europe. Now, these are geopolitical things, and in our business we deal with those, but that's not the focus of the presentation today. We need to sort of come down from that sort of 30,000 foot level now to operating at about 1,000 feet, or about 10 kilometers down to about 500 meters, where most of us are trying to build our businesses. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is about this world of information overload and how we are dealing with that as Mundus, and what we might be able to offer to you as a solution in terms of tailor-made business intelligence for the Scandinavian market. And just to link this up with the previous presenters, I think as many of them have told you, it's not just enough to have a good general product, but that your product is relevant locally. And how are you going to find out if it's relevant locally if you're not in touch with these tangible local signals? So to recap on the problem, the challenge is we're all drowning in noise. And if you're trying to deal with what I sort of introduced the segment with, you'll see that the geopolitical that's happening at light speed. You've got AI going on. You've got regulatory changes within Europe which are being driven by the European politics. You've got the other trends that are going along. Are we on? Are we off in terms of the green transition? And all of these are sort of coming down, even though you might feel, well, that doesn't really affect my business. In some way, that is shaping the environment that your business and your sales and marketing is operating in. So there's this vast volume of information which is leading to information overload. And then here we are today talking at a Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, and that means that automatically you're operating in two markets with two languages. We'll throw in English as well. And then trying to stay across those developments is leading to information overload and loss of critical signals. And I think several of the previous presenters have actually spoken about that and how finding out about these sort of subtle pieces of information is critical to business performance. And then the last thing that I'd highlight here is about reporting under pressure. So when the world is slow moving, you've got the time and the space to actually gather the relevant and crucial facts for your business. But when the world is moving at speed and you're trying to, as a business, you're trying to follow what's going on at that speed, you're probably spending way more of your time on analysis and synthesis of information that you would like, rather than acting on that information. So just 3 stylized examples. These are not necessarily the only 3, but I think they sort of make the point. Are you the woman on the left who's this business executive off to her sales meeting at an airport in a different country, and she's trying to follow what's going on the news on her phone as she's walking to the meeting? Perhaps you're the one in the middle and you're paying some very reasonably priced consultants, I'm sure we're all very reasonably priced here, to gather and synthesize that information and pass it on to you. Or are you this? Is your business represented by this guy on the bottom right, the unfortunate fellow whose job it is to read and analyse the news and prepare a brief for someone in management to read later that day? So at Mundus International, we've been working with these challenges since 2012. If you have a look here at the map on the bottom, you can see that we're operating throughout Scandinavia today. Nordic launch, I think, is I'm reliably told Norway launch is I'm reliably told is in the next few weeks. We can operate into the Baltics and Iceland as well, but 3 Nordic countries plus Poland, which means that in terms of this audience here today, we sort of feel that we understand both the Polish market, which we've been in since 2024, and the Sweden market that we've been in since 2012 very well. We get out and about to our markets. So on the far right, you'll see our CEO, Jessica, who's currently sitting up the back, but last week was visiting Warsaw, and there she is meeting with the Saudi ambassador, Her Excellency Enas Al-Shawan. A photo of me in the middle, some years younger and earlier, talking about the green transition at a Grant Thornton seminar. So we've been doing this for a while, but the way that we do it is changing. So we started off as quite an analog business, and today we're doing more and more things digitally. Sorry, I forgot to say, so based here in Stockholm, we have around 25 to 30 people in total, majority of freelancers, but we have a small group of full-timers as well working in the head office in Stockholm. And then a lot of our people are out there in the countries that we are operating in, providing local knowledge and insight. So the solution, or at least our solution, and possibly there are others, but the way we're looking at this is how we get the benefits of AI together with the advantages of having this quality team of human talent to look at and analyse and synthesise information. And it's helpful to think of this in 3 steps. The first step is monitoring. So there's an old-fashioned, sort of 15-year-old technology called media monitoring. It's keyword-driven. If you put any keyword into the internet, it's going to give you, depending on how popular the keyword is, hundreds or thousands or even tens of thousands of hits every day. Great for finding out and narrowing it down a bit from the millions of data bytes that are out there, but most of us don't have the time to assess that. So then we do the analysis, which we're using many different sorts of AI to rinse and to filter all that vast, rich information, because what we try and do is to turn potentially some 100 data points or news stories a day into maybe the 5 to 20 stories that you really want to read and that are relevant to you. So the AI is useful for sorting that, for determining its relevance, for writing it up into very short stories that are easy for you or easier for clients to digest, and then we put a human layer over the top of that to ensure accuracy, context, and reliability. And then the third part of our offer is the delivery. So delivery through email, standard PDF document, no complex software as a service technology that that clients need to deal with, but it's structured in a way with relevant headings, with the story sitting under the headings, so it makes sense in terms of the readability. And you can have clients can have it daily, they can have it weekly on whatever time frame works for them. So now I'm going to show you a short demonstration of the technology. The point is not to baffle you with the technology, but just to see and understand some of the parts of what puts it together, remembering that the end product is a simple document to read.
In the editorial section, Lumen helps you find articles tailored to your needs. You can select source countries and the countries the articles should cover, choose news categories, and filter by preferred sources, as well as set a date or date range. If you find a story you like, you can save it and generate a write-up or brief, which you can then copy or save. Moving on to digest mode, go to the client section and click Add Client. Enter key details such as organization name and recipient email. In the next section, you define the content by selecting topics, adding keywords, and most importantly, writing a clear client brief. This is where you describe in your own words what the client is looking for, helping the AI understand exactly what kind of content to generate. In the final steps, this is where you tailor the report format to the client's preferences. Save the client, go to the dashboard, and click play to generate your report. Once it's ready, you can review and finalize it. Finally, you can preview the report to see exactly how it will appear to the recipient.
So a little bit there on the technology, and as you know, we're dealing with information overload today, and I know that the tech side overloaded. But what I wanted to sort of leave you with, there's a couple of different modules. We built this as an internal tool within Mundus first. So operating in 4 countries, we have a lot of editors who are working on things, and they are actually using part of this tool in the preparation of what we do on a daily basis for our clients. Or for our standard products. And then the second part is this technology that we have extended and made it so that it can capture this global world of the stories that are available on the internet, the information that's available on the internet, and distill it down into, if we just look here at what's on the screen, we see a story about what some Swedish government policy or practice, and how that is being built into its overall heading of climate and policy and government accountability. Also relevant to say, and a lot of the focus here has been on what's going on in the media, but the media is probably only half the story, because the media is there communicating information that's going on in the daily news cycle. But there's other things that are even more important for your business. That's what's going on in the Riksdag in Sweden, or the same in Poland. So this is the parliaments of the countries which are deciding laws, debating policies. And by focusing on what's going on there, you'll actually, because not everything that's going on in the media that's going on in the parliament is being reported in the media. And then finally, the third part of the picture is to look at what's going on in NGOs and in think tanks, because they are giving you those soft, early signals that are actually shaping how the media is thinking, shaping how the public is thinking, and ultimately that's shaping how the parliament's thinking. So to pull it all together, what does that mean for Swedish and Polish businesses operating between the countries? So the first scenario is to look at is Polish companies entering in Sweden. So if you're a CEO of a Polish company, you're looking at these market entry scenarios that have been talked about. You need to know what's going on a sort of daily basis, how the global events, how AI, how the green transition is shaping what's going on in your various market segments. And perhaps you want to have a daily report, or you want to have a weekly report that's coming to you and it's arriving in your inbox at a certain time each morning that's convenient and relevant to the way that you have your personal information gathering. That's another. Or potentially you're a Swedish company and you've been setting up in in Poland 15, 20 years ago for the advantageous manufacturing conditions that were based there. And today you have a team that looks at regulatory affairs, and you've got one or two people within your workforce who are sort of trying to find out what's going on in the great dynamic of the daily hurly-burly of Polish politics. And so having a tool that can actually go out and grab that information and synthesize that, and then that comes to you directly, may make your business and your operations more efficient. Thirdly, in terms of several of the advisors that we have here today, and I know I was talking to an accountant earlier, and they're looking at how they go and they add value to customers and potential customers. And so they are often gathering and presenting information as part of the add-ons to their service. So this could be used as a white label. It could be white labeled for that sort of consultant who then doesn't need to have their own department doing that or having some member of junior staff doing that. And then finally, huge amount going on in defence, both in Sweden, even more going on in defence in Poland. And in fact, the whole of Europe is going through this dramatic build-up in terms of its defence capabilities. So as another example, you might have, if for people in the defence industries, if they're operating Nordic-wide, perhaps they want to come in here and actually understand what's going on in each of those 4 countries in the Nordics. And so, again, the news can be passed and analysed and synthesized and ultimately brought forward to conclusions that are useful for that sort of firm. So if you feel that this is interesting, please use the QR code and you're welcome to contact me, and we can give you an example of complimentary trial. And if you're sitting there going, very interesting, thank you, Sean, but it's not for me, but you happen to know someone who might find this useful, we'd love to have an introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. All right, so we've gone through all the presentations for today. Now I would like to invite you to a short break, 5 minutes. Take your coffee, take some cake. I see there are still some left. And we see each other in 5 minutes for the panel discussions. Let's come back to our seats and let's start the first panel discussion today. I think you are ready with some warm coffee in your bellies and some sweet cake. Now I would like to invite to the first panel Sebastian Magier. Is there Sebastian? Yes, there is Sebastian. Chris van der Schur. Schur, okay. Tomasz Bieliński. Please welcome Konrad Szczęsny and Sverker Litorin. Well, talking about diversion, well, that maybe wasn't the best job. But, well, all right. So let's start with maybe a round of short presentations so that we learn about you, who you are, what you do, okay?
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Bieliński. I'm sitting in a banking business for over 35 years, and I worked for the, let's say, commercial banks, recently Santander for a couple of years. But at the end of my professional career, I decided to do something for the country, for the people. And I work for BGK, which is Polish Development Bank, and the strategy, but also the mission of the bank is to really to support Poles' daily life, to help their lives, to bring into life the initiatives that bring value to the single Pole, but also to support Polish business. So one of the key pillars of our strategy is to help Polish companies to internationalize. and that's the area where I'm sitting currently, and we really do a great job. I'm sure about it, supporting Polish companies to enter new markets, not only in Europe but also in Africa, Asia, and other countries. Our facilities are working in over 90 countries. And we have, I will be talking more about it later, but we are having funds, people, our teams to do it, and big enthusiasm, because we are now very proud and happy when Poles are getting into the new markets, which is for some of them very new situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Konrad. I usually just say Konrad because my surname is Szczęsny, which is impossible to pronounce for any Swede. I do work for the Swedish side, though, even though I'm Polish. I work for Stockholm Business Region, which is the official investment promotion agency for the city of Stockholm. We are a municipal company owned by the city of Stockholm directly by the politicians, but we also represent 53 municipalities around Stockholm. So in our definition, we represent about 4.5 million people out of Sweden's 10 in total, and also roughly half of the Swedish GDP. And municipalities have very different needs. We work with all sectors, helping companies from abroad, not only from Poland, but many of them are from Poland right now, which I really love myself. But from all over the world to establish their entity here, hire people, of course, and develop and expand in Sweden and in Stockholm.
So my name is Sverker Littorin. That's hard in every language except Sweden. I used to live in the United States, and the first time I presented myself, they said, "Is that a name or a sound?" But it's actually an old Viking name. We had kings in the 1100s, Sverker. And you know we have had kings together with Poland, our joint history. I do two main things. One is that I work with helping European companies to find partners and enter into Africa, especially Eastern Africa. But I'm not here in that capacity. Today I'm here because I'm also helping companies into this stock exchange in Sweden. There are two very different things that I work with. But I helped Nordic companies, Norwegian, Finnish, and also the first African company into the stock exchange here. But I will talk about that a little bit later. But I hope to help a Polish company into the stock exchange. That would be lovely.
That is a perfect sales pitch. Wonderful. My name is Chris van der Schoor, also hard to pronounce for some. I have a background in human resources and organizational development, and I very often help organizations through some type of a transition. And that basically means helping leadership teams dealing with complexity and all the information overflow that we've heard of earlier today. I've done that in all types of industries. I'm Dutch from origin. I've been working mainly in IT, media and entertainment, and now in a very different area where I'm supporting Selecta, which is a very big office coffee and water provider here in Sweden with their own transitions. And I very often get the question of, okay, so why is the HR guy in the room? Well, basically because when it comes to dealing with this complexity, this is about one of the most human elements that you can get around with. And that's exactly where I hope to contribute to this forum. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sebastian Magier. That's easier to pronounce than the others. But I'm the head of the Polish Trade Office on behalf of the Polish Investment Trade Agency. And that's a large Polish consultancy doing business development for exporters and investors. We are present in 55 countries. Those of you who know Business Sweden, we are very similar to them, but we are working for mostly Polish companies. We do also work with FDIs, and we do have a specialized department that is doing that. There have been many investments from Sweden that our agency has facilitated. For example, Volvo Cars in Krakow, Klarna in Warsaw, Nordvolt, now Leiten in Gdansk. So we are quite effective helping foreign investors to enter the Polish market, but we are also trying to do our best to help Polish investors to enter the markets. And yeah, I agree with Sverker that we would like to have one, at least, company that is present on the Nasdaq stock exchange in the future. So we are trying to do our best to actually facilitate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, as you can see from the diversity perspective, maybe we didn't do a great job, but there was a reason why we have those gentlemen in the room right now, and because this is a more of a macro perspective in terms of the market entry that we were following here. The first question is very open. I would like to ask you about your angle towards the market entry. You know, you have been working around that or observed that process for years, probably right now, but you are also here to offer something to potential businesses that are planning to do so. And maybe based on the experience and what you heard today, what is your angle about the market entry? Not only the Nordic, but maybe Nordic. That would be a good example. Who would like to start? Yep.
I guess I can give a brief overview because I work with, we as an organization work for very different sectors. I mostly work with construction infrastructure, but also defense, which is much on the agenda right now. I always choose something that, can either be built up or explode, I guess. So there's a lot of things happening, but it's, the diversity of it is really crucial, I think. We are a bit like general specialists. We never really, of course, we have to know something about the business that we help, but mostly you do a lot of different things, and I observe different types of industries. And I think, there are a couple of things that are very crucial. Doesn't matter if you enter Sweden or any other country, of course, understanding the local preconditions of the market. Sweden actually, even though Swedes wouldn't admit it, is a bit of an outlier. Not only, especially if you look at construction, which is maybe my primary sector, you have certifications or certificates that are very Swedish. Even though we are a common European market, the Swedish regulations are very specific, and that's a big difference. Of course, also, I think, especially if you look into Sweden, but also other Scandinavian markets, is the cultural differences that you need to understand. That's definitely an outlier with Sweden, with its flat hierarchies. The consensus-driven business culture is very much different from many others, from the Dutch especially, I would say. I've worked with a lot of Dutch companies, like Ballasnedam, for example, that entered Sweden a couple of years ago. So that's the two most common pitfalls that I can see that people need to learn and understand in order to succeed. I don't know if anybody wants to continue that.
Yeah, maybe I say a few words not on the market entry, but more on the stock exchange entry, because it's another market. And of course, Sweden is, the number one country in Europe today, at least if you count EU, in taking smaller companies public. You mentioned Nasdaq, but we also have the Nordic growth market, and we also have spotlight markets. So having three competing marketplaces for small companies makes the Swedish market very vibrant. And we have hundreds of thousands of small shareholders that like to put money in smaller companies. So I would say it's an alternative to venture capital many times in this country. You might bring in some business angels, and then you go on the stock exchange. I've personally been heading as chairman, board member, or CEO more than 10 small companies on the stock exchange. So I'm an independent consultant today, but I collaborate with corporate finance firms where we try to identify the potential of a certain company. Right now, it's up and down because Mr. Trump and what's going on in the world. We don't know from one day to the other. The stock exchange is up, and the next day he speaks and it's down, and it's up and it's down. So it's not totally the best time, but there is always possibilities for good companies. But the whole market, of course, the stock market is reflected by the macroeconomic happenings, with inflation and war and uncertainties. The market dislike uncertainties. So, but it will come, and we will do it together. I hope one day here.
Markets dislike uncertainties, and so do people, as a matter of fact. I think that if you look at the original question of market entry in Scandinavia, the first thing to address that some others were into as well is that market entry in Scandinavia is the same as saying market entry in Eastern Europe. It's very different if you want to do business in Warsaw or in Prague or in Budapest. And that's pretty much the same in Scandinavia. So the first area I would say is the context is where are you actually going to position yourself and why? And we've heard some excellent examples earlier today of what you need to do in order to do your homework correctly. What I would also see, what I find probably most striking, is that even though it is an open door that you're entering a new market, meaning that new values and new cultures and new business practices exist, is how still biased companies are and how difficult it is for many leaders to actually let home the values and the mindsets that are brought from their home country. And that is, it's almost like in a relationship, right? If you go into a relationship with the thing that now you're going to convince the other person to be a better person, it's not a very good way to start a relationship. And it's the same with market entry in a different market. If you don't take the time to really understand, let your own prejudices and biases behind and accommodate to the local market, you're not going to succeed. And I think the last thing that I would like to add to that is that we've heard some excellent examples of how you can prepare yourself, how data and information and local knowledge can help you give the best possibilities for a local market entry. But there's one element that leaders really have a very hard time accepting and talking about, and that is the fact that in every market entry there is a large aspect of chance. There is a large aspect that some companies don't do any of the prep that we've heard today, and still they do great. Other countries do everything companies do everything by the book, and they never really get off the ground, right? And I think that, if we talk about market entry, is very important, because that makes that entering a market is not a business decision, it's a strategic bet. And that positioning gives you a whole set of new perspectives.
Yeah, chance and timing, which is sometimes the same. Yeah, like opening a restaurant 5 minutes before the pandemic. It's maybe not a good timing, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for those companies that delivered food home.
We can be even more specific. There will be a mingle after this event. Chances are that people in this room will actually meet the person who will open the door to the excellent opportunity that they have. Chances are equally big that you will just walk past that person and miss an opportunity of a lifetime. And in all honesty, that's the beauty of it, right?
Well, we are a generalist kind of company. We work with many sectors. So I would like to say, as it's been said, all about strategies, cultural differences. I would like to mention two things that we are trying to work with and how we try to work with is synergies and Polish brand. And in terms of synergies, we understand being a top 20 already economy in the world, we still have limited resources to actually support expansion and investment. So what our office, our team are trying to do in Sweden is to create synergies between the actors to help the companies do better. And that concerns not only business support organizations like the Chamber or the Polish Development Bank. By the way, our institutions are in the same fund, Polish Development Fund, and then we are looking into ways how to actually better support companies in the Swedish market. That's why Tomasz is here today with us, among other things. But also businesses. We do work with associations of companies a lot. That is something that's really appreciated in Sweden. Most of the companies, most of the sectors are associated, both the trade unions, but also associations of employers. And that is growing in Poland. The thing was, in the past, that Polish companies tended to compete with each other on the same market. And what we are trying to do is change their mindset actually to cooperate on the market together to have better impact. So that is a work in progress. One of the fairs recently, we had a question from two companies from the same sub-branch of the industry, like, can we make sure that we are not standing to each other, next to each other? So we just said to them, like, it would be better if you stood next to each other, because the Swedish partner which come to the pavilion will know which sector you are, and they will not go and look around the pavilion, which is 50 companies, to actually find you. So this is a learning process, but I believe the synergies are working best in our small markets, comparatively small markets, and that there is the potential to do better. The second thing is Polish brand, and that is not only the country. I mean, we now say that we are top 20 G20 country. That of course resonates among the public, but I would like to say that we are also trying to promote Poland through big Polish brands. This is well, there's a lot of work to be done, of course, because we don't have that many of them like Sweden does, for example, but there are more and more that are coming to Sweden, and we have brands like Comarco, Seco, or Pekabex, for example, in the construction industry. We would like to have more of those companies from different sectors, and that I will be using that to actually boost our presence, but also, underline that there is quality. Poland has changed dramatically over the last 30 years, and is one of the leaders, not only in the Central Europe, Eastern Europe, but also in Europe as a whole. So these are the two things that I would like to underline in this discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Well, maybe the general remark. Poles were not ready in the past to invest, to be an active investor because of the lack of capital, because of the in-house problems, and only last decade was a momentum for us to really show up on the global market scale, and really to be active as an investor. And surprisingly to many observers, we for the last couple of years we've been building a very strong position in developed countries like West European countries. Polish companies really in the last 5-6 years they've built a very strong presence, buying or making greenfield projects in countries like United Kingdom, France, Germany, Spain, and so on and so forth. So we've even prepared a kind of a report about it, and Polish FDIs together with the British Embassy to really show to the public how many were successful, because it was not even so promoted the way that we can be proud of it, but then can be also the followers to go to the market, cover every angle and then go to those fields. So I think we need also, as Poles, we need to be more brave about and talk about and really to promote each other, and not to stand next to each other rather than to separate. It's a kind of a mental problem, but I think we will overcome that. But what we do as a bank, we've also noted the situation that the capital is there, the willingness is there, the companies want to invest, but they need additional money. So we as a bank, we've prepared respective amount of capital for that activity. So we are very, very open and ready to finance or to co-finance the investments abroad. And we have a lot of good examples what has already happened in different countries. For instance, in UK, we've just financed a lot of them, but over 100 Polish FDIs. So not many Poles really realize that there are so many of FDIs. In Romania, which is another, let's say, angle of Europe, with over 100 FDIs. In Sweden, there are just a couple of FDIs, but I believe there is just a good starting point for more. And we need to familiarize Polish companies with the Swedish market. It's easy to say, but the more we talk about it, the more advertisement we do, the more companies will come in. I mean, they need a little push. There is money, there is capital, there is willingness, there is a lot of eager. I mean, the Poles are really eager to develop and to go to other markets. So I think we are the nation that, to a certain extent, differentiates from others. Some Western countries or nations are rather happy to have it as it is now, so they are happy about the consensus. We are very hungry about new developments. We are looking for new markets. Polish companies are looking for new markets. So I think they can still take their time because it's harder. It takes longer time to invest in Sweden, but I think it's the right time. And they have enough capacity time to work a couple of years for the real entry. So I think it's a great momentum that we talk about it, and I cross fingers for the Polish companies to show up on the Scandinavian market, not only as traders but also as investors.
Yeah,
that's very interesting to hear, and you can also observe over the years how the narrative changes. That more and more companies come here or look at the market from a different perspective, not only to come here and try to sell the service or a product, but also to start maybe investing. Maybe if there was somebody from the region, we had one panelist planned, but unfortunately he got sick, was actually very interested about Polish businesses and what do they need, do they plan to come to Sweden and to invest money, because they are also open to bring that investment there. Is there a question? Yes, there for the audience.
Thank you. Question to no one in particular, but because I think there's many eloquent speakers on the panel who could answer it. But what would you say? I mean, I think when I go down to Sweden and Mundus is perceived as a Swedish brand, and people will say, "Oh, that's good, it's Scandinavian quality." So I'm interested for the Poles as to how you feel Polish brands are perceived, and because Polish business is doing well, and so brands are possibly a lagging indicator, but there's so much good going on. So if you wanted to state things positively, what would be the Polish perception, Swedes' perception of Polish brands? And then secondly, what sectors do you think Sweden should get ready for that Polish companies are about to come here en masse?
Maybe I can answer at least part of that question. When it comes to perception, especially for me as a Pole working for Sweden and living in Sweden, that has obviously changed over the last years. But still, it's a the change in Poland has been so rapid over the last 30 years that, and perceptions tend to adjust in a longer time than that change has happened, because the change is quite remarkable. And there has been a lot of very good press about Poland in the recent years in Sweden, especially up the Polish economy. So it is slowly changing. I do have an anecdote that I told Sebastian. We actually had a board of directors meeting for Stockholm business region. We have politicians, we have a lot of municipalities there, and there was a question from one municipality: why do you work so much with Poland? And one politician, I'm not going to name him, but you can look it up, who's in our board of directors, said, well, it's the 20th largest economy in the world. And that kind of shows that, there is, some people are still in the old days, and some people that are interested are quite, up to date with what Poland has become. But you have to bear that in mind, that it takes a bit of time. And that's not only about Poland, it's a lot of the countries that come from the old communist bloc. The same goes from Estonia, the same goes for Latvia, the same goes for Czech Republic even. So it takes time. The other part of your question about the different industries, what we see at least, of course you have to divide it between FDIs, which are still in the beginning stage, I would say, from Poland. When it comes to market entries or establishments, of course construction is very big, infrastructure is big, defense obviously is a very key topic. Not only read a lot about Saab's selling products to Poland, but it also actually works the other way around, especially in the drone industry. I've seen a lot of different companies coming here and wanting to establish. And of course the tech business. If you look at tech in general, I'm not a specialist in tech, I work mostly with prop tech, but if you look at the big Polish tech companies, they're actually quite huge. Comarch, I think, has 10,000 employees or something like that. Accello, which was here in the fall during the meeting that we had, the high-level business meeting. It's a huge company, and much bigger than most Swedish ones that many Swedes don't understand. So that's also another sector I think is on the agenda, and of course life sciences and medtech as well.
I would like to give a little bit another perspective on this. When I divorced the mother of my two daughters, the first place I went to was Poland with them. So I took the ferry from Ystad to Świnoujście, and then, maybe I pronounced this wrong. The next one would be even worse. When we drove along the coast, and we ended up in Międzyzdrój, something like that, you know. And it was a wonderful place. So I think in order for you to get more business from Swedes also, you must present a little bit the culture and Poland as a touristic country, because most of my friends, they have never been to Poland, and it's just so close by, you know, and you have to take them, and they still live and believe it's an Eastern European country. But I mean, it's a very modern society. You are among the best entrepreneurs that I met, you know, very driven, hardworking people. And so launch more touristic, more cultural events to let people know and see the modern Poland. And then I think we would flourish more with business as well.
Thank you very much, Sverker. Unfortunately, we will need to wrap up this panel. But just one comment: it's not the first time I hear from Swedish people that Poland probably needs a little bit more of a country marketing and touristic marketing, and of showing how much has changed. And just for fun, go home and write in ChatGPT. How does Swedish people see Poland and Polish people in 2026? It's a good mirror. And I was surprised. It's still the image from the 90s. So it's still in the stereotype, has not changed. And when I write how Polish people see themselves in 2026, it's like all modern, and you know, everything is like new, brand new and fantastic. So this is what we need to work on in terms of country marketing, just to let people know.
It is difficult to leave your biases behind.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. And now let's get ready to the second panel. And now I'd like to invite Eva Hutmacher, Linda Hornberry-Tesmar. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yes? Yeah? Rafał Wiśniewski and Roxana Khalid. Roxana, come closer. So that now more diversity. No. No, I think that this time it went better. All right. We don't have that much time, but hopefully we will share some interesting experience of yours and insights. So without further ado, if you could tell us, very briefly who you are, what you do. So please present yourself.
Hello, Eva Hutmacher. Half Polish, a Swedish father and a Polish mother. So roots in Poland. So dzień dobry. I can't speak Polish. Sorry. I work with a company. I'm the CEO and founder of Snabbfoting, a strategy and organizational company. Work with global companies across several sectors, and in the intersection of strategy, organizational identity, and organizational culture. So it's important to combine them and help companies be resilient and high performing.
Hello everybody, my name is Rafał Wiśniewski, or as I'm called Ralf here in Sweden. I represent my own company, Playmotion, and I have been on my own with and without employees for almost 30 years. What is significant is I'm quite aware of business to business and actually how to brand, market and sell on this market in Scandinavia. And what I'm always trying to do is to align the purchasing process with the buying process, which is not that easy. And that is what we see gaps, as we had like a gap in perception of how Poland looks today, we have a gap actually, and not only for foreign companies, but also for Swedish companies. So this is the play I do, and it proves to be very successful. Oh, by the way, why am I here at the chamber? I was born in Poland, moved here to Sweden when I was 7 years old. I just very stubbornly wanted to maintain my Polish and my Polish content. So 2 years ago, I reached out to the chamber with the sole ambition to have opportunity to speak more Polish in a business context. But here I am in the panel.
Hello, nice to be here. My name is Linda, and I work for a company called Waterfront Cabins in central part of Gothenburg. We have a housing concept, accommodation, long stay, short stay. And I would say this is a very important thing to talk about because we've been working with this for more than 5 years now. I've been in new construction and development for over 20 years, and I've seen a big demand after something else. We need to think outside the box. We need to be more flexible. And in this case, we offer a housing for companies, staff, personnel, students, but especially for companies, I would say. Because when you come to Sweden, you're maybe in a new work environment, you don't know the language, you don't know the culture. It's really nice to have some colleagues maybe around you. We have 900 studios in the same area, so it's like more of a community where we offer not only a stay, you can meet up with other colleagues, you can take a coffee. We arrange activities like jogging around central part of Gothenburg. We tried to do something else, and it's been very successful. I think we have a 97% occupancy in our studios. It's small apartments, but it's totally great. So I could really recommend that for you when you are starting your new business, to give them a good start and the safety and a safe place to start their life, or maybe for a short period in Sweden.
So hello everybody, I am Roxana and I am the founder of Aimbreak AB. I have a scientific background, so I'm a neuroscientist by training, over 10 years in academia. And I love innovation. I love seeing the go-getter attitude of startups, so that's why I started my consulting company to help tech founders navigate complex strategies such as market entry to Sweden. And this market I've become quite familiar with, having spent 8 years here now and having built my family here. Why am I here? I have no roots in Poland. And I would say my roots in Sweden have been built through the family that I have started here. But I am working very closely with Polish founders. And currently I'm working with somebody who has developed an amazing VR tool that helps children engage better in therapeutic sessions, who I am helping with navigating the market. So if you're interested in edtech, if you're interested in childhood development, if you're a parent and have a kid with special needs, feel free to talk to me about it. We are organizing an event where you could demo this tool and actually meet this founder. And since you guys are so excited about promoting Poland and helping Polish founders, it would be super nice for me to also hear about your perspective and these ideas. So other than that quick pitch, I just want to add that as a little bit of an outsider to this group, I'm coming from Canada originally. I was very surprised to hear about the fact that you are finding Polish brands and products and society and culture having a little bit of a challenge or complexity navigating branding and public perception in countries outside of Poland, especially going towards the West. Because I have always grown up loving Polish products, and maybe that's because my mom is Ukrainian. We've always had a lot of respect and have always enjoyed buying Polish products. I myself have actually sought out Polish products rather than, Scandinavian ones sometimes. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just the price was right and the product was great and it had everything I was looking for. So once I joined this chamber and started coming here and hearing from you, that was actually the first time in my life I heard that there is an issue. So I have no feedback on branding for you, to be honest with you, because I've always had a really good experience. So I hope that that kind of testimonial helps promote you, and I really hope that people give more Polish products a chance. You will be, if you have not, you will be very pleasantly surprised. So that's my story. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much for the outsiders' feedback, and that's interesting. I didn't know that. All right. Again, the question about your angle towards the, what you heard today, or your experience about the collaboration between the markets, and maybe you would like to add something on what has been already said. Maybe something was missing, or maybe on your perspective.
My angel from today, it is. I can see we need to speak even more about the organizational culture, learn more about the norms here in Sweden. We haven't spoken about the Swedish fika, for example, but it was example of lagom and other examples of that. But we have spoken a lot about the truth of Swedish or Scandinavian culture, absolutely. But if we go deeper into organizational culture and really connect the strategy, all of us, we're quite good at making strategies. But if we connect that to the organizational identity, understand it well, are aware in the company and when we enter the Nordic market, and communicate that well, then we need the angel of leadership, good leadership and capabilities here. So that is important to focus on, the leadership and how we really make it.
I think you also mentioned that you have some perspective from the US, right? And in terms of market entry.
Actually, yes, it is from Canada, Ottawa. I was representing an IT company that was way back when I was in IT. And we had a lot of comparisons between, especially Europe and North America. They really couldn't understand things. Why do you make it so complicated here in Europe, right? We just send them the keys to the software to download, and we just invoice 1 million US. And you just have to print so many other things. Well, so a lot of experience. I was a rep for the Scandinavian countries. But one thing I learned during that period was actually that how we perceive things, and Stockholm was specifically then very unique compared to Sweden, but Sweden was unique in a sense, because we took a lot of meetings here in Sweden. But I remember working with Finland, for instance. It was hard to get a meeting in Finland, but once the meeting was set there were actually an interest behind it, not especially here in Sweden. A lot of things has changed over the time, but there is one thing to consider. And I learned that when I had specialists flying over, and they said, okay, you have a huge meeting with one of the defense organizations here in Sweden. And they said, have you asked the questions? And I said, what questions? I just arranged the meeting. And I go and say, did you ask them if they have budget for this year? Will the people who decide and can sign off will be present in the meeting? And so on. So it was like 4 or 5 questions to ask. And it was so obvious for me then that Swedes do take meetings, because we work by the FOMO, fear of missing out. And we very much trust the process. So that is one difference actually to consider. It's not that if Polish company comes, we're here to negotiate, we're so good and you're good, let's make a deal. You really have to understand that this might be first, second, third, fifth meeting. So it's very intense. There are ways to overcome that, and as I say, I work with sales process contra purchasing process to align them. But that became so obvious for me how Swedes actually they take the meetings because I'm supposed to do that.
The only thing I could add, that I would like to add, is the work environment that I see has been changing a lot. You need to give your staff or personnel or teams a better standard in the living environment nowadays, I would say. Since we've been working with a lot of new constructions, and we have factories outside Sweden. We see that it's almost like you don't expect to get a good housing. You expect to live maybe in a small apartment or something like that, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. So I think it's important to have that with you, that you need to give them a good experience for everyone who's coming here to work. That's really important.
So something else from the bit of an outsider perspective and all these different cultures mixed up and all these different languages and things. One thing that I've observed over a lifetime and also the scientific background is that it's useful to build hypotheses. And this is something I also really heard quite clearly come through in the presentations. I don't have a lot more to add other than what the presentations already described, because that has been generally my experience with my operations. And but one thing is it's important to be conscious of stereotypes and archetypes. So stereotypes are a very negative belief system. It closes your mind to opportunities. It doesn't allow you to see the importance of different perspectives, and also, diversity came up quite a lot today. But archetypes are a mental model. They allow you to build a hypothesis, to formulate a question, and to think in a way that allows change. And changing your mind is very important. So I just want to add that, yes, when people might be entering Sweden or Scandinavia in general, there will be certain thoughts in mind, maybe they're introvert, maybe they're not that open, or maybe because of your personal experiences, you think that they are quite open and they're quite outgoing, It's important to understand that those are personal experiences, and there is some data supporting certain behaviors. But at the end of the day, you have to test the market, and you have to really formulate ideas and mental models that are actually testable, to be aware that, what you think may not have yet been confirmed. And it may have been confirmed just by someone else's opinion. So just keep that in mind. Stereotypes versus archetypes. Archetypes are useful, but stereotypes are not.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a question from the audience, maybe? No? Is there a question from the internet? No. Okay. So we might actually finish on time then. Is there something that you would like to add to the... Yeah?
If I may?
Yeah?
If I may. Just one thing to summarize, because the trust thing, I've been working in life science, for instance, and I'm telling you, money are attracted to people, not to the product itself, and it goes to other industries as well. But we have to understand, we talked about the trust between people. It comes in on all cultures and come in different nationalities and all things. But we have to understand where this comes in Sweden. And the thing is now, Gustav Vasa, he actually nationalized so many things, including religion and other stuff. So Swedes are really, really way out of the league when it comes to trusting institutions. And that is what is so easy to enforce, for instance, banking systems and other systems and things all of that. But with that comes also to trusting the process. So if you go into, for instance, I've been working with supporting construction companies in those large tender bids. If you work with Trafikverket or you work with other, you have to understand that they rely so much on their process. You have to understand the process, how to reach an agreement, how to come to certain things, and the institutions and the regulations. So that overthrows so much of what I understand in Poland. I was a small kid when I moved here, but poznaję mościu. When you know some people, you just connect and you just trust them and things like that. But Sweden, basically, there are people that are afraid of losing the job, so they go with the process, how to do things and all that thing. So you have to understand that. And that, as so many others have said both in a panel and also presentations, it takes time. Double the time. You have to work on not only the sell, not only the bid, not only the money, not only the negotiations. You have to work on your positioning, your branding, your presence. It is a job, especially when it comes to large construction bids.
Okay, is that a summary? I guess so. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for the second panel. And I guess we are coming to an end and we are going to wrap up. Definitely, Yeah, Adam, you're closing.
Do I have a closing? That's the question. No, but I mean, you've probably also noticed that, as you see, preparation is key here. In Sweden, I think also values are very important. This has been emphasized here time and again. That's just one general observation. That's it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if you have any questions and doubts, always can ask somebody who is already here. And we have so many experts and consultants that can help solve all the mysteries of entering the Scandinavian markets. Today, I would like to thank Adam for the opening remarks of today's session. I would like to thank all the speakers and panelists for great work today. Thank you. Of course, Tomasz Vara for the technical support and recording and Dana Rogoza and Himelska.se for preparing the cakes. Thank you very much. Jesper Reguła for sending out messages and invitations to the event. Thank you. And last but not least, of course, Jerzy Rogowski for organizing this event. Okay, I think that we have one or two more final slides. One will be, maybe you notice I mentioned our YouTube channel once or twice during today's session, and you can actually find our 2 YouTube channels, because this one is where we keep all the recordings of those seminars like this one. And over there you can find our podcasts and the webinars. So you can be with us even when you leave the room. Okay, and of course, follow us on LinkedIn. So this is the end of the online streaming. So thank you very much to all of you who observed us online. And for those of you who are here, this is the beginning of the networking and meeting people in the room. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you.